Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf Podcast. In today's show, I'm going to be talking about the new Harley-Davidson motorcycles, all the lineup for 2020. They haven't been released as yet, but I'm going to really talk more about the expectation of potential Harley customers or existing Harley customers of what they expect from Harley-Davidson, not only for 2020, but also going forward. In the future. There is no doubt that Harley as a company are in transition. Let's say they are trying to move into new markets. They are trying to attract new customers and possibly even customers that are not traditional Harley riders. They're even trying to bring them across from other brands. We can tell that by the models that we know are coming. So we've got the Pan America, the adventure bike, which will be released first quarter. We've got the Livewire, which is not strictly a 2020, but it's being released in early September of this year, 2019. We've got the Street Fighter, which is potentially going to be named the Bronx, and that's going to be possibly coming out in third quarter of 2020. Then you've also got the custom bike, which is going to be on a Softail chassis, and that's looking like possibly last quarter of 2020 or first quarter 2021. So those are the three bikes that we already know for, let's say, the 2020 market. We also know that they're also in development in the Far East for the 338cc as well. So that's looking likely. So that's possibly coming out for possibly late 2020 as well. That won't be for the European or for the American market. That's purely going to be for the Far Eastern market, China, and possibly into India. We've also got to consider the electric variants which they're looking at. They're looking at these sort of urban electric scooters as well. Again, massive shift for Harley. With the new 3 motorcycles that they're proposing, they're also coming out with the new engine. That's 60-degree V-twin engine, liquid cooled as well. They're going to be offering in different sizes: the 500, 750, 975 and 1250cc variants. So there's lots of scope for that engine to be used not only in those 3 new motorcycles, but also in other models that they produce. Let's not forget that Harley are also stating that they want to come out with 100 motorcycles, 100 models within the next few years as well. So that's a big stable. So let's get back to 2020 now. What is likely to happen? Well, many people on the block, as it were, in the know, seem to think that actually it isn't going to be a big deal. There isn't going to be a huge lineup for 2020 or nothing new. There isn't going to be earth-shattering changes to lineup. They're looking at the Road Glide Standard. They're looking at a couple of other models, possibly to look at variations in engine size. We are looking at possibly within the Softail range, looking at either offering a 114 alternative engine across the range, or leaving the 107 cubic inch behind and just going for the 114. There are strong rumours coming out now that the Sport Glide and Softail Slim, for example, are going to go that way. Yet to be confirmed, and this may or may not be true. Certainly maybe not within the early part of 2020, possibly looking in the latter part of 2020. What else will happen? Well, you know, there's been a big call for the touring motorcycles to also come out for a monoshock rear suspension as well. You know, lots of people have been calling for it. Lots of people have been saying, you know, we need to get away from this twin shock system for greater maneuverability, to come into line with other manufacturers, but not only, you know, the European or Japanese manufacturers who are producing different sorts of bikes, but also those who are producing similar kind of bikes, and even from within the United States as well. For example, Indian produce their bikes with monoshock suspension as well. That's just a single shock built within a frame. It's better handling, better suspension travel, and better balance, and you can corner better as well with a single monoshock as well. So, you know, there are definitely changes coming, but will it be earth-shattering? Will it be groundbreaking? I don't think it is. I think there's the expectation that there will be lots coming. There will definitely be accessories and lots of variations across all the board. There aren't going to be very many big surprises or models being discontinued for 2020. They're still going to carry on with what they have as their stock. They're looking at the Sportster for another year at least. There was talk that possibly that would go a lot more. That would possibly go on for another 2-3 years. Other reports saying no, this will be the final year. That is still yet to be decided, and we possibly won't find that out for another few months either. In terms of the future of that Sportster, but I think the Sportster is the future of the Sportster is directly linked to this new engine that was going into the Pan America. If there's some kind of fusion there, then it might be a rebranding, but the Sportster may live on with other clothing, if you know what I mean, in another guise. What else can we expect to say? Well, there's going to be greater scope within the touring market for touring bikes with the glides, the street glides, the road glides, that kind of thing. There are going to be more accessories, more options in terms of audio, electronics, mapping, and also performance as well. They're talking about bigger performance enhancements across that range. Softail range, there isn't going to be a great deal of movement apart from possibly the biggest movement across the range, across the whole stable of Harley bikes, is the annual change up of color options. That's what they're looking at. They're already looking at the Mayhem and Quicksilver as limited edition, but they're very pricey. But also a standard alternative colours. They're also coming out with different variations as well. And certain, as per Harley manner, certain models will have different colour options to other models as well. But that's about it. I mean, that's about it in terms of Harley-Davidson for 2020. You know, there are big rumours that the 2021 market, that's where we're going to see the biggest changes. That's where we're going to see the true evolution of this new engine going into the Pan America and then into the Street Fighter as well. We're also going to see possible discontinuance of certain motorcycles. So I think 2020 is going to be a bit of a dead year in terms of news. I think it's going to be a bit of a connecting year, a crossover year, rather than something that we're going to have all brand new. Of course, there will be brand new items. Of course, there will. There will be brand new accessories, across the range. In terms of motorcycles, that's not what I've heard. That's not what I've heard from. Other than the models that we already know about, the ones that have been well publicised, that are in the prototype phase and production phase, there isn't nothing else. We're not going to have an earth-shattering, Softail line coming out or anything like that. Yes, as I say, we're talking colour schemes. We're talking possibly engine variations or different engines made available for particular bikes. Definitely will be made that. We're going to see movement definitely within the touring sector, whether we're looking at performance upgrades or suspension upgrades, or touring packs available, different as standard, but also alternatives as well. And then electronics. Electronics is going to be the big thing. But, you know, apart from that, we're not going to see a big thing. But the big news coming out is the 2021 market. That's where it's really going to go for broke. Now, will this please a lot of traditional Harley riders who are already disgruntled in the way the company is moving? Possibly not. Possibly there will be that continued disconnection between the older Harley riders, the traditional Harley riders who made the company what it is, let's say, and the company. The older riders are tending to stay away from the new motorcycles. They are abandoning Harley as a product. They're possibly leaning back towards Indian in many different ways, or they're staying with the older bikes. They're not moving. They're not convinced by the new motorcycles. They're not convinced by the Softail line, the M8 engines, across the board. Possibly they see this as a step too far, but at the same time, whilst those older riders are not buying the newer bikes, it is attracting newer riders. We're going to see a big push to open up new markets and to attract new riders in 2020. That's where Harley is going. That's where it's saying, for the benefit of this company, we have to let go of our past a little bit, and we have to go forward, and we have to evolve. And I think if you like the brand, if you want to see the brand survive, I think you've got to support that. You've got to support what they're trying to do and what they're hopeful for. I'm a new Harley owner. I'm a new Harley rider with the Sport Glide, and I find it, as a non-traditionalist, I'm finding it a breath of fresh air compared to older Harleys that I've ridden. I wouldn't say it's a million miles away from older Harleys, but it's certainly 1,000 miles away from where older Harleys were. The way it performs, the way it rides, the way you've got the power delivery on tap. These are from the Softail range, from the M8 engine. It's a quantum leap already in what they've seen. We've already had that for the last 2 years. For this year, I don't think the reports are, what we're hearing already, that it's not going to be a big, massive change. Whilst there will be changes, of course, there won't be massive changes. But we will see the new models coming out. We will see this exploration into new markets, into new demographics. And there will be greater emphasis on evolving as a company. What does this mean for the Harley riding public? Well, you're possibly already seen it. You've already seen the emergence of different classes, possibly not, but different generations of Harley rider. And yet we're already seeing that now. The younger riders coming into the market are not really going for the touring, or they're not really going for the other models. They're probably looking at the Sportster still, but they're looking possibly more at the Softail range. That's where the market for the new bikes come in. As soon as the Pan America and the Street Fighter come out, that's where the new riders will go into. They've beefed up the Fat Bob, and that's appealing to a certain type of rider as well. They're looking at the FXDR with a 114 engine as well. That is, a new addition, but that comes into line with a lot of the new bikes. They want to put in a 114 engine. There is talk of a bigger engine as well, a 121 engine as well. There is no definite news on that, so we're waiting on that, whether that'll be a 2020 or whether that'll be a 2021 evolution of the M8 engine. We're still not sure on that, but there's lots to talk about, and the dealer show starts tomorrow in US time on the 20th of August. There's going to be lots of new talk, lots of new information coming out. We're going to be bombarded with information, which can only be a good thing, of course. But there isn't going to be this groundbreaking information that's gonna make us sit back and think, wow, Harley have completely changed, or we're seeing brand new motorcycles here. Not for 2020, apart from the ones that we've already talked about, or the ones that other people have talked about, and the company themselves have already given us pre-warning about. Lots of the dealerships in the US have already had 2020 bikes delivered. There isn't anything in that lineup already that's saying that we're going to get new bikes, or there's new bikes in there. The only thing that has been evident so far has been colour changes across the Softail range, definitely, and across the touring range as well. That's the only thing that is truly evident. And so we haven't really had the big notice about engine alternatives or any changes in the engine size up to 121 yet, or 121, 120, 121, 122, something like that. It may even go up to 124. So there is in the option there as well. Anyway, so we're waiting. We wait with bated breath, don't we? We wait as customers, as you know, as media outlets, let's say, as information resources, as creators, as YouTubers, as podcasters, whatever, you know, we're doing, whatever we're talking about, you know, as writers, bloggers, everybody's waiting on this new news. And the expectation has been there for a long time that, you know, it's going to be a big year. Recent weeks has kind of, you know, it hasn't fanned the flames of that expectation. In fact, in many ways, it's kind of poured a little water on it. It's sprayed, you know, a fine mist to, you know, dull down the flames. And I think that's the reality. The reality that it isn't going to be a massive year for Harley, or in terms of new models. It will be a massive year in terms of going off on tangents, opening new markets. But we already knew that was going to happen. But with the existing bikes, there isn't going to be a lot of alterations. But we will see electronic packs. We will see performance upgrades, suspension upgrades, that kind of thing across the board. Not necessarily across the board, but in certain models that will be afforded. We will see so the engines and the colour schemes. That's the big thing. Right, well, you know, as soon as we have more information, I'll let you know. Now, also, we've got to consider, as I say, you know, the new market that is being channeled by Harley-Davidson, by the company. This is the key to the success and to the future success of the company. Will new riders come to the brand? Will they transition from, whether they're Suzuki riders, Triumph riders, whatever, Ducati riders, will they come over? Are the bikes that Harley can produce over the next few years, will they attract those? Is there going to be a crossover point where you're going to have Harley riders and also other riders mixing it up and being in the same group, let's say, and talking about the same kind of things, talking about the same kind of appreciation, connection with motorcycles? Because there's no doubt that the Harley brand, the Harley motorcycle, is not as advanced. But actually, in many ways, that is one of the things that is disconnecting the rider from the motorcycle, in that technology is going too far. The home mechanic can't do much about it. You can't really tinker with your bike anymore. Whereas with Harleys, you still can to a certain degree. And that's possibly why they're going to endure, and that's possibly why there will be a market for the Harley, the V-Twin, for many, many years to come. Right, anyway, well, I hope you found that useful. Please like, share and subscribe, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. Check out all the links for all the podcasts there as well. It's all on Spotify, iTunes and SoundCloud as well, which you can download and listen to wherever you are. Right, well, catch you on the next podcast, whenever that is. And well, possibly we'll talk about the motorcycling community, because I've just received an email, a couple of emails, and one of them actually flashed up as saying, you know, what do I think of the motorcycle world or the motorcycle community now? That is a top topic to talk about, and that's a top topic that I will talk about, because I have some very strong views about the way the motorcycle community has changed, and the way as we as riders, as bikers, as motorcyclists, whatever term you want to use, the way we interact with each other has definitely changed over the years. Right, catch you on the next one, whenever that is. Bye now.
RevelatorAlf.